Myself, Praveen, and Arun will be our host today. Personally, my quick introduction. So I'm Praveen, who started the company Mindbowser. And, it's been a journey of more than 10 years now. And, the whole concept of starting this community was to, be able to share the lessons that we learned along the way. And I often joke internally that I've invested 5 to 10 crores, in this education. Every year I'm taking courses by making bad decisions and then learning from them. So that's all a tuition fees that I'm paying. And the idea was that this community we want to basically be able to share those lessons so that you don't have to pay that hefty tuition fee that I already paid. So I and Praveen and Arun, who is the VP of Engineering, and for today's topic, much of the things that we are doing to be able to solve customer trust issues, and how we are able to build us as a trustworthy company. We worked upon it diligently. So much of the things, have been around what Arun and his team did, and that's why, he will, take over to go deeper into it. But starting the topic, basically why this topic is important. Like I was mentioning, I think Sandeep mentioned that, we had this sales session and a couple of you were already there in the last session. So we were learning about how you, do sales, or how you get in front of your customers in the right way, and how they discover you and so on. But to be honest, much of the sales for us today does not happen outbound, but it all happens through inbound, and people who would reach out to us, or people who would discover us, or our customers would provide reference. And this session is more around that. Like, how do we, build a system around being able to get the most out of our existing customers rather than searching new customers. And why this becomes important in today's scenario is because getting new customers is harder and harder. Like, in fact, a common joke in IT services today, I believe everybody would agree, is that we are kind of in the most difficult industry. It's not at all any more a shiny luxury industry, but it is a pretty struggling business, to be honest. It's really hard, especially for new companies or growing companies, to be able to land with new accounts. So getting new customers is hard, and as a IT services company, we are constantly getting tested by our customers or by potential customers that are we really the team, or are we really good as much as we say. I'll share with you a story that happened, in fact, just last week, and I thought this timing is so perfect about when this incident happened. That I was speaking with one potential customer, with a doctor based in New York, just to give you a shape to it. So let's say Dr. A, and he was looking at whether he should build his own EHR, or he should, continue with what he has and just bring us to improve that EHR. Of course, for us, it's better business that we get to build a complete EHR rather than, tinkling here and there on his EHR. So we discussed, we gave him the advice that both things are possible. We gave him both pros and cons. And then we also told him that we work with another doctor, say Dr. B, who is based in San Francisco, and he can have a call with him, also discuss with him. So I connected both of them, and because we have a very good relation with Dr. B, he kind of asked my VP of delivery, who was in San Francisco only at that time. So he said that, hey, I have this call with Dr. A. You tell me what to tell. So what do you think his answer should be? How many of you, any suggestions? What do you think? If you are the VP of delivery, what should be your answer? Any suggestion? Anybody? What comes to your mind? Like option A, you would say maybe that take your think what you think is the best. Option B could be, hey, try to incline more towards, let's say, building new, because that is good. So what do you think? How many people would say A is a better option? Okay, and how many people think B is the better option? And how many people did not understand that story? I can tell again. Because I'm very low show of it. So again, so one would be that should this person advise that give the neutral advice, or should this person advise who is my team member that go with this option because this is better for us? So how many would say neutral advice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And how many people say me that tell him that give this option because this is good for the company? 1. Okay. And how many say no answers? Okay. Okay. So it's okay. Like keep your cards closed is also okay. Let's go with the flow. But my video delivery actually, ended up with option A, which is he told him that you tell what you think is the best. You don't need to give any extra, inclination towards anything or so on. But the best part that I want to share is that the answer that my customer, Dr. B, told back, which was that, hey, I knew, but I wanted to test your integrity. So what I was coming to the point is that our integrity as a business gets tested every day, everywhere. So it's not just a moment here and there, but you never know. And sometimes it's process and tech which Arjun will cover. But also when we talk about customer trust, it has a lot to do with people and culture as well. So it's a whole cycle. Just like when you go to a restaurant, you never know what really attracts you. It's a culmination of a lot of factors, like why you choose this restaurant and not that restaurant is not just like food, but your whole experience, which could be a number of things. So coming back to one, this is really important because in today's world, getting new customers is harder than ever, and customers are always testing us. They always have a choice to move away. And in IT, especially, the days are long gone when we had like large deals of multiple years and no check-ins and just put people and keep making money. That's why I was mentioning that we're not in a very good industry that way. Now you have to work hard. The customer wants you to be on the tools. So that's one reason why this becomes important. Second is that current accounts, your current customers are the only way that you can go beyond the marketing funnel. So again, it's popularly and famously established that 90% or even 99% of the money you put in your marketing goes waste, and you never know which one. So how much money and effort you put into your marketing, you are always not having the foolproof information. I would say that which people are really coming to the website. If okay, these many people, Google console may not give you all the answers, like which were these people, then you have to indicate another third party that identifies people. But when you reach out to them, they would say, hey, I never visited your website. And, like if you have done some account-based marketing, you would understand the pain. You never know eventually, like, probably still you have like a iceberg situation. So some things but some things you still have to figure out. But when you are working with your customers, that creates a lot of predictable advantage because you know what's really happening. You can grow them. Second, any customer that is coming through the references, etc. Also, you are completely knowing all the information. Like most of the time, if you are in good touch with your customer, your customer will educate you on that. That hey, I'm connecting with this guy. This is his pain. This is his budget. This is what he wants. This is where he got burned. So you can plan better, and that means that conversion goes like very high compared to any of the other channels. Then the third thing is that we have this problem in most companies, if not all, that most metrics and quotas are geared towards bringing new customers and new business. In fact, as humans, I think we all feel more excited about new rather than old. So this session is also more of a reminder that how much exists already with the things we're doing, rather than like digging the well and finding out water, or finding out oil, whatever. But the idea is that how much more we can do with the accounts that we already have and how we can make the most of it. So that was the why of it. I just wanted to share, like when we started working on solving this over, I'd say, past couple of years, slowly and gradually, and paid that 2-3 crore tuition fees, which I was mentioning. What was our result is, one, we were able to achieve our NPS score consistently over 90. So, in IT services, I believe it's a very good score to be able to, get pretty much like all of our customers very happy with us and getting them to a point that where they are ready to refer to us. In last 12 months, most of our sales, like I was mentioning, was to references and was to customers that we already have. So in the last 12 months, like 3 million plus sales just happened with existing customers. So, and the best part, like I said, it's all predictable as compared to the unpredictable way of figuring out different ways and reaching out to people and so on. And because this is so predictable, it is also more like a strong foundation that puts us better in the unforeseen times that otherwise a business has to suffer through. That, like whether today I have project but tomorrow it will exist or not, or whether today I have demand but today it would exist or not. So, by solving this equation, we are able to say that we got 3 million and we believe that 3 million is kind of, very much predictable for next year also. So that allows us to make better decisions for the overall running of. So now my third point, and this would be my last slide before people better than me can take over, is we can always do it, but why the system is required is because eventually a business can only be run on a more scalable and replicable strategy. Like I was giving you example of this incident, earlier between how Dr. B tested us by asking a question to which the answer he already knew, but he wanted to test us. So it all comes down to like having a system, which again I would say is a combination of software, strategy, and also culture. Like how I was really happy when I heard this, because then I knew that my VP of delivery is on the same page or gave the same answer that I would have. And that's what as a company you want, like, that eventually whatever strategy you're making is well executed by your teams. Your team can really follow it. So one of the hard tasks for us was not really building the software, but really creating it in a way that it is more like a daily engine, part of the daily work. So that was the real struggle, just to share with you. And that's what we tried to solve. Like we should not end up creating another software or another thing or another, let's say 20% extra thing that you have to do to be able to work on your customer. But how you can do it in a way that is something you were already doing, but probably in a better, more organized way. So more scalable and replicable. The other thing is, again, founder style, which I believe most of you as founders would agree that, again, we often get blindsided by, again, prioritizing amongst different fires that are happening, and we would end up dousing fires of accounts that are troublesome, or let's say dousing fire to, let's say, go into market for closing new accounts. What I've seen personally, and I spoke with other founders as well, what I've seen common is that existing accounts typically end up going low on priority for us because just there are so many files to do. So we end up like, okay, I'll do this, I'll set up process, I'll hire people, I'll do sales, I'll do this. But we many times end up thinking that, okay, this account is closed, now I've given it to a person, let's say a delivery person or a tech team. Now they will take care, and now I've done the introduction, and things would happen. So again, a system would help. Again, you cannot find out more hours to it, but again, a system can help. To be able to give you better control on the overall experience for your customer. And thirdly, like again, as a sales organization, we tend to believe, just like a restaurant, that I'll create good food and people will come. So as sales organizations, we end up thinking that we'll just do good experience service, and then these references or more work would come, or cross-selling would happen, or upselling would happen. But that's not the case. So just to elaborate back on that restaurant experience. So there's one restaurant that makes very good food, but I believe isn't that every other restaurant also does it. So what I mean to say is that, sitting here, we have at least 500 restaurants, pretty much like a services business around us. But we tend to get kind of a pull from some restaurant. For some, we do not. Now, someone else gets a pull from some other restaurant. So every restaurant is eventually serving food and cooking food and so on. But why do we get that pull from certain restaurant? So that is the whole idea. Similarly, like in IT services, doing the work is just one part of the whole equation. It also has to do with other experiences. Like if I were to fill the mix of one of the things I will talk about, could be as small as sending the invoice. Like even that experience can be made better rather than sending invoices, which then customers to ask that, okay, did we really did this much work? Hey, I did not knew this person was there, or why I have such a big bill. So being able to take care of such experiences become very important in the whole life cycle of a customer. And that's why I say that, it's not just that we do good work and people would come, but there's a lot of other things that come. In fact, I had this graph from Gartner, which showed that the impact of standard actions on likelihood of growing account, like how much the growth of account can happen. And delivering products and services is the first point, which does not have any significant impact on upselling. Aggressive selling also does not have. Confidence in the account team, which includes like increased confidence of customers in the account team by having, let's say, broader accounting map. So that is one point. And customer improvement overall, it includes like providing customer with unique critical perspective that improve their business as a whole, or outline the ROI for them. So, we all may be having ROI that, okay, I'll put in this, I'll save your money and so on. And then we gave the deal to our devs to do the work. But how about, having a consistent communication around the ROI that is, getting done. Probably you're already doing it, like generating it, but not communicating it. So, things like that would create a lot of difference in being able to grow existing customers, create the trust. Because anyways, you are doing those things, but how do you really honest? So that's the whole idea about this job. And one last video I wanted to show you, like you'll recognize it. But system is important because without the system, this is what happens. Volume. How many of you recognize this? We all seen this movie. I think like most of you would get this slide away from the picture. सबके साथ इकट्ठा चला रखते हो जिसकी तरफ गेंद जाएगी वही दौड़ के रखेगा समझे चलो जाओ Yes, basically our project name, whichever way. So the idea is that again, while everybody can get motivated for the customer. Give the
क्या कर रहे हो तुम? सब के सब एक ही तरफ दौड़ने लगते हो जिसकी तरफ गेंद जाएगी वही दौड़ के लपकेगा समझे चलो जाओ ठीक है
So I have a few things how to make presentation. So as Harish just pointed out, Prakarline is the global community, right? And our main goal is to give back to the society. That is one of the things that we'll try today. Of course, there are other entrepreneurs, and we'll make sure we also want to learn from them as well, because these are the learnings from us. There are other people and other founders who did different types of projects or different types of customers they had. So we love to connect and learn from them. But there are four things I would say we will be mostly focused on what we try and work. Is everything whatever Arun is going to present is around four things: people, process, nowadays AI, that is also trying, and reusable things, assets we call it. All these things are around this four. These are the four pillars. What we try to address, as well as whatever I come across as a CTO, whatever comments we come across from the customers or even internally from the employees, we try to sort it out at the root level. So that can be a scalable strategy that we found work. And yeah, I mean, of course, these things, I mentioned last 3-4 years, we're trying to do certain things, different directions we tried, and we came to some kind of a conclusion and we made kind of a solution which we build and use regularly in our processes. I will cover that. Yeah, maybe I'll jump in as and when required.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning. Yeah, so first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm working in VP engineering, but I'm not your background from my. So basically, I started as a developer, and then I became a lead in pushed into the PM processes and then management side, and then this processing side. So the experience I have, it is mostly from the developer side. So the processes we have built, it is obviously like business side, like customer experience, but we also consider what is the team, like what development team things like So me and my delivery is from business side. So the kind of process we have built, it consider both of the side, like customer and like the technical team, and it has been in a very good thing which I will show you. Yeah, so I'll start with so we call it like customer experience process. Again, I think Madhuri very much agree on this. Like these are the main phases of any project development. And again, before we start deep into this, so again, if I make any fumble or anything, please bear with me because I have put whole night finding this presentation. So yeah, bear with me. Thank you. So yeah, first we start with the onboarding. Obviously, like we have to start somewhere, so that's the point we have, like planning, execution. So we'll go deep into this, what we have learned, what challenges we had, and all, what kind of solution we have built in. So first, starting with the onboarding, like initiation, also we call it, right? So first, what kind of challenges we had? So before I start, open my thing, if I want to ask, like, what kind of challenge have you faced during these phases? Anyone want to do?
So mostly, but everyone execution is easier.
Okay.
So from which geography to start with, which domain? When we think as a child, should we target US? So in US, which state, then which vertical, where are we? Vertical, healthcare, yeah, insurance, and there are 100 others. So I think mostly that's.
Anyone else? Yeah, please.
I think when you onboard a customer, they come with a certain expectation. You as a developer have some. There's always a mismatch, so coming out on the same page is you.
Yes. So yeah, I think again you are very much in agreement. Like we are. So very first thing that we is like unclear client vision, right? Understanding requirement is one thing, but understanding the vision is like a different. You can understand what you are supposed to develop, but why you're developing, that's a different thing. So that was the very first challenge we had. Second was like role visibility. So again, there is you mentioned so there is always a gap between understanding who are my developer, who are my clients for a developer. So that gap also we have seen, as a developer again, as I mentioned, I was not very much aware who are my clients, why I'm building this particular thing, for whom I'm building. And again, at the other side, clients are also like this, ki jo very bana raha hai, who are actually, what are the skill set and all. Then the third very important again is like process clarity. This is also a very big issue we have seen. Client doesn't understand what kind of process they're going to follow. As a team, if we have an experienced team, they know what process we need to follow. But mostly for every new client, everything is new for them. So they need to understand what kind of process we are supposed to follow, what kind of cadence and everything would be there. So that is also big thing. And again, one more very important is having this gap in accessing the accounts and what are resources required, right? Okay. Anything else you are able to think of? Again, I can see so many experienced people are here. Because I think these are the major challenges. There could be many, but these I think are very crucial, challenges we face. So let's start with the what kind of solution or what we have done in our experience. So first, unclear time. So what we started doing is we start apart from asking that the documents. I think everybody shares the PRD now in the age of AI. It is easy to create doc and all those things. But we also started asking people to prepare a video, which can they can show their vision. They can explain what they are aiming for. So that really helps. Right. And again, at the other side, for team also it helps. They are seeing their customer talking about their products, so they understand the deeper level. Why they understand why. So that
yeah, so that's what I do that. So one of the challenge we as a company for anybody working in the technology, in that everybody don't understand what they're working on. Most of them, of course, they know what to do in terms of technology. But what problem they're solving? In our case, healthcare, but healthcare may be a doing the product. They're solving the use case. What exactly impact is creating on the registration provider or an individual or something. So they need to understand this is the problem of solving. It is helping doctors or provider to save their time for this. If even a doctor in US saves 10 minutes of their time per patient, it's a huge savings. Because there is already a lot of work. So this is the thing that we're trying to try recently. That every client asking them to share the vision not only as well as the full review and what pain point has solved. And it is just a one small thing. We just started and it now developers and engineers are trying to find that. Whenever they're doing something, they are coming up with a suggestion. So this is small thing.
Correct. So this is one of the idea we have, and then in the school. So again, I think everybody does this. So we tell who are what's the team structure and all. But apart from this, we also said that profiling detail and what kind of skill sets they have. So we have this where everything is that in one page view you can see what is the sources, what are their skill set, experience and all. And apart from this, we also do that kickoff, obviously that video call, and then they introduce each other. So that also helps. In fact, at the other side, the developer side, it helps a lot because in our case, what we do, there is no hierarchy when you are connecting with the clients. If you are part of a project, if you're a team member of the project, you are connecting with the client any day. You have that access. We don't have that the only team is talking with the client, and then they are getting the requirement and filtering to developer. So there also we have a lot of gaps we try to improve. So it has helped in many ways. Sometimes maybe PM is not that technical, but if technical person is into the meeting, they can help in many ways. They can suggest feasible technical ideas, all those. So that we are able to solve. Process again, as I mentioned. So this again we try to clear what we do. Right. Sometimes they have their own ideas as well. They come up with their own tools and all. So we see if we are able to use their own ideas or not. But mostly we have our own very well structured things, so we try to follow that. But we are flexible. And again, this is the again came from our experience. Sometimes clients are not aware how to escalate.
or where to escalate. Like what should I do when there is a problem, right? So again, we started doing this escalation metrics. So when there are like multiple, like you can see the steps are there.
Just giving them confidence and plus there are people, if something goes wrong, there are people who can help you out, right? So it's just having that conscious.
In fact, like with many customers, I learned from one of the customer only. They ask in writing only, like what I should do when there is like, let's say if I'm working as a PM, if something broke like in the system, so what should I do? So she actually wrote it down. First, I'll call you on WhatsApp. If you don't pick up in like 30 minutes or half an hour, I'll do something else. I'll maybe escalate to private or something like so. Very low level detail we had done. So that also helped us learning things like how we should do it. So practically started doing it. And then again, resource again. So again, whenever we start any project, we need some accounts and rights. So again, I'm sure many of you have experienced this. Sometimes you will getting all those, like all those requirement and all. And what happens is kind of delays the starting of the development or anything, right? Like example, there's like you made a Firefox account or Google Play account, but depending on the project, like AWS credentials are very common. Apple developer. Sometimes client doesn't know how to create an Apple account, right? So there are like a lot of information required, like dance number and all those things. So that proactively we are studying all this thing with how to create the accounts. We have all this on our portal, like how to create all this. So we are helping there. One more very good example, I think, like if you are integrating with the like you're working on an IoT product, right? So in that time you need an actual hardware, right? So most of the time you have to switch, like like you have to ship it from the US or any country, like right? That also takes time. So proactively we tell them, okay, we need this devices, how this device, and you have to ship it in advance. So those kind of preparation we do it, and again, going in further detail, we also tell what to put in invoice, what kind of detail you should put in, so it does not stuck in customer somewhere, right? So these kind of detail. Again, these are all from learning.
Yeah. So just to add what Rahul mentioned, just to give a little so in past we were working like this, we were telling something, customer coming back and what to feel there, actually two options, personal business, it was taking too much time and customer was frustrated. So that's again the experience part. So then we automated that thing. Whenever we say, okay, I have to do this on the customer name, it has details. This year we do, we will tell somebody in advance, we choose a business account and whatnot. Same goes with the customer, what he mentioned. A small thing, then you have to put a zero number, zero amount in the invoice, and tell that it is a test device. Then the customer will not keep it with them. Otherwise, it will be again another 2 weeks. Small things again we learn and we think like it made a good amount of impact because you're reducing the work of the customer. That is the important.
And again, in case of like device shipping, we had faced this. Device stuck for like 2 months in India only, but we're not able to get it, and that's why everything got delayed. So that's okay. So yeah, these are the onboarding. How many do you think that you are about?
Video thing, so I have to emphasize.
So, what are points you think the customer should mention in that particular first video? That is my first question. My second question is, so we usually have the first introduction call with the senior members, with the client, with the project and finance. So, they want to do this and that. So, what is the difference or what are the advantages are there when you ask the client for a short video? What is it going to be for? So, first is, there are many more actually. First is you the video can be seen by anyone. So not only you see a number, but whole team know about the vision and the page. Second, you have team members on all the time. Team member gets feedback, scaling the team. And again, client will not get anything the same thing. And third important thing from marketing perspective, it helps us to be engaged. This is again like a project side. It helps in a lot.
Just to share, it has also happened that when we ask, what's your vision? Customers would say, okay, you are the first team that asked for my vision. So that is what the whole experience is about. You know, like I'm mentioning again, I go back to my that's not methodology, like small things, not that you were not doing that, but doing that exclusively. People then, you know, your customer start seeing you in a different light. And they are like thinking, really, oh, you are aligning with my vision. Then you are really thinking.
And sometimes they also show low level details. Like for example, one of the clients, like we were creating a telemetry application. So he specifically asked us that I want to make sure that anyone, like, especially board members, will be able to use it. So make sure that you are using the font size and everything is like good enough to be for visible for the board people. Again, those details can come later, but from the beginning only we had decided, okay, now we have to think in that direction. So yeah. So if I'm asking how do you think that these are the problem you also in onboarding, like or any other you had anyone?
Anyone would love to hear how you guys solve.
Yes, yes.
So where we should do it for
Because again, we are here to learn only this. These are all experience we want to learn what we do. Okay, maybe this. Yeah. So after onboarding, so in the next is so it is sprint zero. And the sprint zero is I think very important. It's like the sprint zero, but it's actually sprint zero, I would say. Again, anyone want to guess like what kind of challenges you had in this phase? Text type. Okay. Can you elaborate?
Pretty thought technology stack. If the Python is the new thing, and they are not then they come to us asking, we want Python, or we want maybe our cloud on AWS, not Google or Azure only, not AWS. Different type of one understands. We are saying, I say go with AWS. Why go with AWS? Why not Azure Google? To explain this thing, I think it takes. That's what I feel.
So what you do?
So in this case, we explained to our which we had a discussion because they had some technology.
So maybe you are trying to implement what मुझे जो आता है मैं वैसा.
These are the pros and cons. Google, there are two services which are not. So you have to pay extra, but we can build those services. But if you go with AWS, there are three different services.
I think those kind of analysis helps, right? Again, if you have, like you already mentioned, so you can just put both the options together. You private can also mention.
So I have one question. In the previous slide,
Sure.
when you're onboarding, I explained the vision stuff. There are obviously some level of details which are missed out.
Correct.
And those details can come out in probably the start sprint or even
Yes.
and that is where the delays are.
Correct.
Right. So how do you take care of those challenges at the beginning? How do you try to relate to the details before you start so that and then how do you deal with changes that come and what are the percentages?
Correct.
So to say adjust.
So yeah, good question. We are going to cover the same as well.
Yeah. So just so the people for onboarding was again is after the customer is closed. And in our case, if it's a startup and we came up with idea, then we make sure before we start we start the design stage. We call it design stage. We do 4 to 6 weeks. Research and very close collaboration and spell out those. So, in other cases, the customer has commitments and there might be a gap. So, the sprint zero comes into the picture. So, that's the setting we start the planning more detail. This is almost 10 for 2 process.
So, anyone want to contact, like you already mentioned, anyone else?
Anyone else like does sprint zero kind of a thing in their country?
Sprint zero.
but there is one challenge is that if we are building something from scratch, the framework, from a developer perspective or from a technical side perspective, everything should be perfect. And then it will take some time. The client expects to deliver something like as soon as possible. That is the first sprint or the second. So what we have come up with a solution is that like we are now having a 3-week or like a 2-week development where we are building the core part of the framework as a deliverable itself. Kind of not an MVP, but kind of something that which runs and client is happy to have that. Okay, now I have something that is already built, and now further features will be added to it in further sprint. So that was good for our clients, so that they are getting something in like first 2-3 sprints, and developers are also happy that they are delivering. Otherwise, like being perfect and delivering everything perfect takes time, like 2-3 months at least. So that was the challenge.
Not production ready.
Not production ready, but at least something that
You are agile. So in agile like that, that's how it should be. So it's a very first like lack of sprint delivery schedule, right? So for internally, like obviously for client, they want to understand what are the deliverables, what are the schedules, especially what are the payment schedules and all. But internally also, like we need to have a lot of discussion. That's why sprint zero is like mostly internally. Like we do a lot of things there. So first challenge obviously like we need to understand what are the requirement and what would be the deliverables. Then again, this is again very important point. Like we have to very transparent about what would be the technical and financial effects, right? It's very more in assessment depth. So you have again this mentioning about how do we do this assessment, so that also. Then again, you have to make sure, like you mentioned, that you have to speed, quality, and compliant as well, like sometimes, right? So that also. So these are the major challenges we see and how we have solved this in our ways to. So again, why we discussing? There are a lot of things like, but when we understood the requirement, everything is like we saw the vision and everything, right? So internally all set together and we very detailed acceptance criteria. In fact, for that also we have written our own AI tool which can like from screenshots of your wireframes call, it can generate a very you can see the same generate the screenshot detailed acceptance criteria. So it helps everyone to understand what exactly they are supposed to do, right? Again, one of you were mentioning that they need to understand what exactly they're supposed to deliver, right, as a developer. Again, being a developer, I understand that challenge there. You cannot just say that you have to develop particular, let's say, login page. You have to put low-level details. Maybe experienced developer can understand with my experience, I can do the things these are required, but you don't have that luxury all the time, right? So you have to make it foolproof basically. Any developer, any experience level can come in and they should have the chance. So this is how we have been able to solve. First, we do a detailed discussion what to the lower level we need to do, right? Then again, this is a very unique thing. I don't know how many of you guys do this. So basically, what we do is one. Everything is discussed. We expect that the team has understand everything. We do a Q&A as well, right? All the team members. We try to assess how much they will be able to understand by doing Q&A. But after that, we ask them to do their own estimate, right? So they come up with a story, and then we try to break it down as low as they can do it, right? By low means, if any task taking more than 2 hours, break it further. So you can see for one story only we have like 3 many tasks. Right, and this is how it was very low level. It helps in many ways. Like, for example, it helps like if you're missing something while planning or anything, there are very high chances that we are able to cover in this while doing this exercise. And then later also it helps while you're in development. So you can just simply expect from the developer, okay, you tell me 8 hour any 8 hour task you are going to do because you have done the estimation and deliver it at the end of the day. Nothing else. Like we don't push anything. You just have estimated these are the 8 hour tasks you will do, and that's how it. So that is again. Then again, we plan in a very all the sprints and with the dates and everything, right? And apart from this, we also prepare the payment plan. On how many sprints we need to have a payment invoice rate and all. timelines again on the same thing. We prepare throughout the year or whatever the duration of the what is going to be there now. So that is on the then this transparent technical financial.
So maybe I'll speak on that. So basically, again, we had many issues in the past. Customer change, they came to us saying, okay, why do you use this target? Or maybe customer told after going live or after a year that, okay, my database is grown up. Now, you never told me. At the start of the project management itself, we do customer management options. So, how you want to open everything for external users, and you are open to change architecture, then you have this. If you want to go scale architecture from the page, like Kubernetes and whatnot, then you have this type of architecture. We do this much time, and this will go to the cost of cloud. For that transparency helps in all that, because then there are no surprises. Surprises is something that customer don't know. Most of them. And this also helps them to plan their finances well in advance. So we also give comparison study. Okay, this how much resources, what services we're using, how much their monthly costs, and they can themselves decide. And of course we educate them if they're not technical, but the CTO also can do good amount of good type of decision. They can do with our engineering.
So this is basically from when we propose the architecture, we also give them cost estimation, how much it would be cost when we are in non-product environment and how much when we do on production. So that also we put in advance.
And this is all the just like put the numbers, put the target, and just need to be built one time, but automatically helps everyone.
Then the risk assessment again. Like 100%. So basically, we use this red dot system. Right? So while we're doing the planning, we ask developers only that what are the features or any element that you feel these could be difficult for you, right? Or complex, you haven't done it before, or you don't experience lots of it. So we ask them to list out everything here, right? So we divide whether it's like a risk or like we do something like how much impact would have. We list out everything. I don't know how we solve this, but this is how we do in a very initial phase. So we know in advance these are the possible risks and how to tackle. We'll discuss it. Then again, we were discussing that everyone expects that everything should be with the speed and quality, and in parallel, you should make sure the compliance are there. We have tried ways that we have built a home solution. Let's, for example, what takes time, right? So let's say you are starting a project, creating a project itself takes time. Let's say, like you are starting, let's say, creating a project, so it will take some time.
But I have a question. People who regular basis. So tell me, like, throughout your company, does your project of yours follow the same guidelines, same structure, the same architecture? How many of you do that? How many of projects are the same consistency?
The testing projects are of same consistency because it requires a common testing framework and can be applicable to other any clients. For the development, everything is different because technology side is different and the architecture. Everything is unique in them.
Okay. Yeah. So again, that is on the project side. So we again have few years back to the challenge. For me and CEO and replacing a developer. The challenge was the onboarding side. So a customer is telling you what that is, this is your developer, and you take 2 to 4 weeks to just complete it, and it is not acceptable. You can't transfer. If you are not challenging, then it's a lot of us. So how we solved? We from our leadership areas and actually created a wireless for all type of technologies. Right? And then we automated not only that, but then we made sure that every project follows. How in project onboarding itself, we have automation tool where you just put the details of what technology. Yeah, for example, you select a technology, then not only this, right? This is easy part. Boilerplate part is continuously need to update it. That is another thing. We have KPI for the 10 weeks. Then there are other things, security compliance, like the branching strategy, what strategy for us, that should automate. Which branch and which what permission that is there. Yeah, for example, like the production branch should not be practical for anyone. There should be minimum one years. All these things has been automated. Ultimately, your project is started. Earlier, you were saying about every developer was following the so this help, and not only that, slowly boilerplates should have analytics, facilities, and whatnot. That helped to save a lot of time. Now consistency and everything is been there. Now that was on the coding side of things of project. Even at the infrastructure level, right, on DevOps side. Again, like the cloud sector,
How much time does it like maybe
already
how much time does it take to create an infra on AWS or any cloud? Yeah, anyone like
and it's going to enter the Kubernetes and EKS and what you are calling. Not only that, the compliance part is very important because we are working in healthcare, very compliant industry. Even the consistency of the resources that we bring, right? For example, a cloud container into large data, into a large data password. The tagging is not proper, right? And the security perspective, AWS has certain things that we need to follow. No, so if you're getting to a developer person at individual level, they will go. Nobody is looking at it, nobody is not possible. That whole thing we automated within a few hours, whole infra is ready with the same consistency and it's a compliant thing. So again, it saves 1 to 2 months of time at minimum. Not only that is a cost advantage, but it's process or it's consistent. Understand that now this infra is they are seeing it. These are the resources, this is well architected. This is like we built in-house, we built a lot of different solutions. But I think it's really actual quality and actual solution as well as governance. So this eventually built the trust with the customer. When you're talking with any CEO of the customer side also, they will also feel that these guys are something they are already built. And we also got many appreciation on that. Again, third party is verifying our infrastructure code and they don't have anything to say most of the time. This was the issue in past. Not only this, like we had code quality also that we have. Yeah, so even that also helped us bringing new customers, not only the retaining one, but taking the story on that. Yeah.
yeah. So again, basically, again, Fred mentioned, so like we will be able to order one time in a day, even daily, which is like more. Boilerplate and boilerplate helps in like standardizing the source code, like coding stack and all. So everyone will have the same code base and they have to follow that techno. So you cannot just go and create your own repo and start using. So that we will allow. And again, like we also created a portal where you can even that has to be automated. CI/CD pipeline sector also will be automated, so that also be improved. And this is very personal favorite issue. So most of the time we like compliance. So mostly healthcare very much concerned about the data. And in the age of AI, we expect developers to use AI tools and all to but both cannot go in parallel because you have to be secure your data. So mostly developers do use some open source available or something, right? But that would be big security risk, right? You cannot use anything because you are sharing a code to that project, right? So for that, the solution we have built our own in-house Copilot, right? So it's own brain, AI hosted Copilot. So everything is in our system. So it's also very big problem of security. Again, with us, we are giving advantage of all the AI also tools available. So again, but again, this also helps in many ways. Right? Let's say if there's a new project or there's a new developer coming into the project, I can just put one command. We have made a custom command. I can just put a one command on board. It will give all the details of that project, and it will speed up understanding of that project. What is done at the project. It used to take weeks, but with this, it can be reduced to days. Like so, that's also and then other ways as well. Yeah. So again, so this was the planning phase, right? And so things will be connected. And whatever we are doing here will help in the upcoming phases, right? So now from this sprint 0 for planning, we move to the next is execution. Again, someone said execution is easy. Yeah. So okay, maybe easy, but we still have challenges, right? So very first thing, again, now we are coming to the client side, right? You know, for client, they want to see what is happening, like what is the progress, what is the business status of the my project, my product, right?
Yeah, this is the stage where, like, when you the planning, you told customer, these are the sprints, these are the dates, these are the kind of money that you need to pay very much. Now that execution, you need to make sure that things happen. Right? That's where the tracking and visibility comes in. We just
Yes. Then sprint delay, you mentioned, we'll cover that. Then quality concern, again, is also very important. If you deliver something, how would your customer trust you? Right? So that also is a big challenge. And then what kind of value we are adding, not only delivering what we're supposed to do, what we're going to do, right? What else we are doing, so that. And then what kind of opportunities we are investing in. So these are the mainly main challenges we get in the space. So how we did it again from the last phase only we had ready, everything visible. What sprint, what are the deliverables, what are the dates, even the payment as well as the last again, so we have that is, like function there only. So you don't have to jump here and there, like, using we are connecting it that is it. Okay, this is again maybe I'm going to answer your question. So basically what we do is so usually what like you usually keep 2 weeks of sprint, right? And only after sprint you are delivering what you are done, right? What you are giving status, right? But instead of that, what we are done every week we send a status, which will cover what we have covered in the week, what we are going to cover the next week, what are the challenges, issues we are facing, and again we put in this in color page and like if there are so it can become anywhere from some developer or any or maybe no time responding in time. Then any let's say account access loss, right? So that is we try. Okay. And it has also helped it as a return proof, like sometimes it happens, everyone has faced this problem. Some developer is not taking things, so they are not on the same page, they are saying yes and yes. So this also has helped us solve that problem, right? That we are everything putting in return, right? भाई सब यही है जो है अभी तुमने reply नहीं किया, that could be your then again this sprint status also. So we have internal external rules. One goes to client, one goes to other. So by looking at this sprint like this only, I think we are using AI. We can understand like there is any risk. So we alert via the system. So we as a manager understand in this project because problem so that is one way of if there are going to be any delay. Very proactively we are going to deal with it.
I mean, like, it's more about proactive approach. Something is happening, we also straight feedback, monthly feedback, and just read the report. Right? So when trying to do analysis on the reports, and if something sentiment is not good, something is delayed, then even if you take to a management, we should look at this story. And that actually helps proactive and proactive. Because once the damage is done, the trust is it's already your process. So you need to be proactive as a founder to find out the way to do how to do it. So we are trying to find out different ways where the problem can happen and how we can get affected before it happens.
And one more thing, like Praveen mentioned that, so we do an internal, like retro, definitely we are doing it very seriously. Very seriously, we do a retro. What is happening? What are the problems the developer or what are the problems the client and everything. Plus, we have this monthly project feedback. Like it's like a 360 degree. Like everyone gives input each other. So we understand where is the actual problem, and then accordingly we try to take some action so we can reduce the delays and all that.
Yeah, those monthly feedbacks are almost 300 different forms, 300 plus forms submitted to one of our platform. And those feedback, those get submitted. 20 weeks report. It's one form of each employee, but then project specific to even raise to others. So we do feedback. This is a constructive way of. If someone is not taking constructive way, I think then we should not be in the team.
So there are more internal processes. These are mostly customer-centric. We have a lot of things happening in our internal process, which are helping in so many ways. Maybe someday we can discuss those.
One question.
Yeah.
How you are managing delays because of R&D tasks? R&D tasks can't be like exactly estimated.
Correct.
And those actually cause delays in the sprint because more tasks are still easily doable. How do you handle delays which are caused by R&D tasks?
So basically, again, connected to the customer, it's more about making sure we communicate in advance. This is the time when we let's say take 3 to 5 days. And customer understands. But we can even tell we might take more. It's more about making sure that communication is happening. If you're not doing that, then of course the customer will come and it's more about that. I believe most of the time customer agree. That's what we also figure out. If you're telling only to the customer, we educate, these are the things that we don't know. We really will take that. I think it's more about communication.
And about the sprint planning. So like in my case, we have already 4 sprints planned. Like in sprint 1, this is our task that we are doing in sprint 2, 3, 4. And if in sprint 1 itself, the R&D tasks delayed, which means that sprint 2, 3, 4 will be delayed. Some tasks will be delayed. So is it happening like
Yeah.
same thing?
In that case, what every sprint planning happens before the sprint over there. So we do that first 2 days, last 2 days. And first day of sprint, also we make sure that everybody knows. In that, we convey to the customer. It's getting that. We do some items on the sprint. It's all so if you tell that okay, we are going back, maybe he tells okay, we are to communication, and we are another piece of it.
So I'm very one, but yeah, please.
So what I have done once is this, what is fine.
Sorry.
So while you're doing any R&D task, because does allow you to create a file which is not time bound. So that does not really use the sprint goal as well. So as communicating that when it comes to the customer, I think that this is the style that gets tracked separately. But then again, this is about if your customer is changing. So is the visionary and not.
Sometimes it's the founder may want to do the investment and the extra resources. Who is the right customer? Of course, it's going for a long term, stay contract. We should do that. And make sure the resources.
So I have one very good solution for this, this problem. We have here. So again, I'll come to that point. So again, we are being very transparent. The developer now, what are they doing? Like if we are they are putting in on the work, we are actually monitoring everything. It is a client. So that gives a transparency and all that. Again, these are the same. Yeah, worklogs and everything. What exactly we have done in that particular day?
Yeah, no engineer logs one line of work. So we make sure everybody writing in detail. That is the again if we're trying to automate if someone is doing it, replace it. It's again a line of concern.
So we have a reminder and everything, like whenever you miss something, we just push it.
Yeah, we most of the time development already. We have multiple reminders like each if it doesn't, then no days you are PM.
So yeah, now to answer that question. So again, in that during this, yeah. So what we do is again we do live demos as well. We show what exactly we have developed, right? So again, sometimes customer has also like one of the experiences that I had, like we developed something, we did a demo, and then when they tried to use their end, it did not work for some reason. And they said कि तुम लोग the recording दिखा रहे हो, and when we actually use it, it does not work. So those kind of things also happen. But how to solve those things. So again, we have this code reports which I was mentioning, like if you develop something, but what is the proof that what is being done at the back end is of good quality? So for that, we do our own tool called Code Grip. So there we share all this like very detailed code analysis report, which we share with every sprint delivery we are doing. Every time we are delivering sprint mail, this is also part of it. Then the what are the test cases is being checked by the like the QA and the team. So that those are the two shares. In fact, there are other things as well. All the devs we are doing DevSecOps, all the tools like just pen testing, all those. So those also report we have it. We also share with while we are selling this sprint.
Yeah, but like the quality side, it's part of it. If you're telling them we build the product, sometimes it's not working. But if you're sending these reports to them very advanced in the sprint, for example, the security report, the cloud infrastructure, quality report, code quality report. Maybe it's a 1 day or 10 years, it doesn't matter because the anyway saying what we send those reports. It is very low level. What kind of issues, security issues if you have. And even the models, for example, the automated using that. Anybody, because everybody will download something from 8, 10 PM or whatever. But what is, they might not see the license. What is the guarantee that they're using actual Apache Pro or we might Apache is fine, but if anything that impacts the log. So that is like so that should be automated. But it should be solved in the root cause. It should not be specific to work. It should be at many levels. It should be solved. That's why we have automation.
And again, that checklist we had, like readiness checklist, that also contains for developers like what you're supposed to do. Let's say, like we for healthcare security, like we have to be HIPAA compliant or any like software or something. We are using tools like Venta or something. After those analysis, we understood that these are the gaps. Then we understood key age or library user that is like that should not be used. So we have to do a lot of framework. So now we have that, like that framework or that list, till we can use it. So that also helps in building trust.
I have a question. I see that you're front loading a lot of strategy planning prior to all of the execution of your tasks. How much of the time you actually spend into all of this is build the client? How much of the time you're absorbing?
Build to the client because these are all automated.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. The time that goes into the automation and building out the processes, you're absorbing that cost.
You already observed.
You already observed.
Because this is now like a company where we can use this. For example, coding, automated code quality. Whenever you write something, it gets checked. That will be done. This security thing.
So you're front loading the effort,
Yeah, that's
absorbing that cost, you're creating that entire framework for you to be able to execute.
Yes.
A project. So then what happens in cases where your project or the solution you're building does not follow this framework?
Does not follow or does not come under this?
Whatever. I mean, there are companies that build bespoke solutions, right? Each solution you build, the architecture is different. The build may be different, the process might be different. So what do you do in that?
Yeah, so basically, anyways, these things we follow in mind. For example, the customer says, okay, I want to use Sonar for code, not coding. We anyways do this. The Sonar on top of this. Again, customized needs are there. Maybe we follow some Kubernetes architecture for specific customer says, no, I want serverless. That is fine. Then we follow that. At the end of the day, the things that are what we are mentioning is common. That's kind of horizontal to him. Regarding community is needed, UWP test reports are needed, security is needed, whatever. We are mentioning is a kind of common to. And these will be customized to the basic. Internally,
We are flexible.
these are the KPIs of project manager. You have to
Yeah. So again, what kind of benefits we are doing? So one thing we do is like we have, like experts of the field that actually helps. So again, to answer your problem that you were mentioning, so sometimes again, if there is an effort, they can try to speed up those challenges, right? So that is one thing. Another very important, like a very unique thing we do is like, so we have, like for every employee, we have a variable, and those variables are based on the goals we give to them. It's not like, like, so we basically what we give something learning, like you learn this thing or do that, right? Or sometimes we put in a goal, let's say we, like earlier I saw that red over it. So there we have already identified these are going to be possible R&D thing or risk, right? So what we do, we ask other team members, you take these as a goal of your goals are like there are additional work, like again, those are not part of the thing, right? So we ask them to do those things there. So in like it has been able to reduce those effort in many ways possible. So that we've been trying to do. Again, like updating boiler plates and creating POCs for client and doing some R&D which are member. Those are being tried to push into those goals that really helps in so many years.
So being healthier was so we recently started investing in SMEs as one of the things here. So what we are trying to is learning, not being to the customer. So we're trying to see what are the additional areas value that we have to the customer out of what we are doing. So that is where we work and but again that's why we know that these are the experts, so they know what they're talking about. This is again kind of adding something that was subconscious of this guy knows what they're talking about, this guy knows what they're talking about. And what automation, every employee has a variable. There's a pressure, 5-year guy, 10-year guy, there is a variable, there are those, that's where the other jobs come. If we match those, every employee works, make sure that happens all the time. And then, again, these are not something that company goes, but these are something that own individual attached to the company. So the both win-win we are trying to find. It's not like they will lose that. It's not variable is not company's performance. It's their own individual. It's in their own individual.
Compared to like some of the solutions, again there are a lot of things. So we kind of like hackathon as well. There also, we were able to create so many solutions later which are helpful. In fact, we are using like using in our day-to-day thing as well. So those also is helpful. Then this myth collaborative approach I was talking about. So again, like some, like most of the time you are into the development, you are just looking for delivery only, but you're not thinking about client, what is client doing or. So for that, what we have started doing, like we increase our touch points. Like how many times you connect with the client. So we do regular MBR, QBRs, we connect with them, try to understand what is happening.
So yeah, MBR mostly delivery does, QBRs. One of us, what has been done, what the gaps, and that helps actually. Most important part is the in-person meetings. We are going to again, like we learned this recently, but we're going to invest a lot in this in coming years. Every person who is again like on the delivery side, should meet first. Every customer we should meet. That is the biggest takeaway. I suggest for you. And that's a different, like, it takes a difference on the different level. Either asking to come or you should come. Whatever you do, but you should spend time with the customer.
Yeah, so these are few photos with the solution.
So one of my is actually this is the kind of in
the office only. Yeah, these are the exactly side. Now the final is anyone has any
any other challenges, any way to do this.
Okay, I think we can. So again, the closure. Last but not least. So again, there is a cycle after closure. You want to get so that also. So very first challenge we was like handover. Like most of the time, like you were done with the project development, but how to handover things right? And what kind of problem like maybe we can discuss. So one is like handover the things. Then post post-launch support expectations. Sometimes clients has some other ideas. What is the future roadmap? Yeah, and again, you do ask for that some testimonial and all, but again, client is not very open to share their needs counts. Those are so how we are done it, right? So again, handovering or so things are going to be connected. So in the very initial phase, we had everything listed, like we are maintaining the documents, we are maintaining all the and we know what is the post, so it will be easy to hand over it also, right? Then on the post-launch support, so again, it's not only about launch, just to believe in that. We don't just want to push them along them and they build anywhere. They don't do that. So for that, we do have support, like we got free support. Those support, there are few techniques, methods we suggest to optimize things. Let's say once you are into the production, you want to like downsize your or optimize which are not going to use that much. So those kind of methods we suggest. There are other ways. Then yeah, this could be very important future goal, right? So throughout the process, beginning from the initiation planning, we keep collecting what are the new things, right? The CR methodology creating. And again, every whenever we are meeting with the client or anywhere we are doing those discussion, we try to keep bringing these things. And then at the end, we hope that they agree to this and we can be then there's so again there have been this reluctance from the client that they don't allow us to use the case studies publicly or their name publicly. Those kind of challenges. So we started doing like marketing duties, maybe private and
yeah. So basically again, this is a testimonial manner, or maybe we are telling them, let's maybe we want to use a case study publicly. Then sometimes let's edit it. Before that, then what we're trying to do again throughout the journey, build that meeting in person. But again, when we are trying, our marketing team now is mostly focused on how we can do webinar together. That this is a product we're launching, then that is another level of trust. Then now, anyway, they are going publicly, but now because now there is something for them in that. Second, anything around events or something we're trying to start and go market together. That also helps us, and then eventually testimonial is comes. You don't need to ask. That is the kind of I think automatically. I mean, we're getting that.
And I guess
yeah, and we started this again. This is the learning. We haven't done that in the past.
And yeah, it's a support thing. So I'm sure that many of you face this thing like once everything is done, client is expecting you are available for them and doing free for them. That does not happen. So we do have free support period there. Say once you depend on the client. But again, in the initiation of the process side only, they only mentioned that once we are delivering everything, this will be our free support period. After we are
so basically, again, like 2 years back, we were not having customer who was giving support, but kind of monthly, some kind of a paid support. So in MSI itself, we started adding consciously that okay, this is the support, we will take later. But giving in their mind thought that okay, this is there. And after launch, we're telling okay, let's start with this support period, which we discussed, which is in the and most of the time, like because they're going live, they had that fear that I need support. That happens, and that is kind of a small revenue stream we should also think of.
Yes. So yeah, with this, I think we are close to the project and we'll hopefully get a new initiation phase and everything.
Yeah, throughout the journey, again, it's a matter of creating that trust, bonding with the customer, eventually helping them find out ways to save the cost. One of the example is that they told, okay, I finished my money, right, but a lot of work to do. We find out ways, okay, give us reference, right? You know us, we build a good product together. We can help you in building the future sprints of things. Right? That also works.
So again, these are the results which we have like YouTube channel there, clients are doing their testimonials, writing and video. So that helps as a company, as an individual, as a team member, it is very encouraging. So that has increased actually. Okay. And then, so again, you saw like a lot of solutions we mentioned that you know they're doing this and that. So these are
Eventually, these are the again, we did some command line things with very good.
and we've been doing for years.
Yes, like different solutions we built over the years. Then we now like in the stage of here, we don't want to use different solutions. We are now going to one solution or almost ready. That is what we built over the years.
So when you were asking that we are taking that burden of everything, right? So basically, we don't let anyone on the bench.
So
Basically, we have idea in building it. So that's how we are utilizing our resources. Sometimes clients give some ideas, sometimes we have our own challenges and we try to build this one. So these are all we have built. So code grip is that code and you saw which shows all the detailed.
and we had some paid customers also like came through inbound.
Secure Square is about that creating that infra automation, automating that infra creation. So that is that CI/CD Nexus is setting up that automation pipeline via portal. NB Copilot, which I was mentioning, that's it's a plugin actually. So that means FSLs is one of that you can create a user story using the wireframes and acceptance criteria. So all these solutions are there, but now we are putting everything in one place, which is called Epico. So
it's
these
like
are available, but there are
started using it test. We are of course continuously adding new things. But that was the kind of a journey we had. I've been lucky because there are a couple of good guys like Arun and Vish. They whatever like bench we had, they utilize in a perfect manner, like building these things. That is one of the dilemma I found in founders that what to do. I think that somehow we got the problems and we solved it. But yeah, like long way to go. There are a lot of things we want to do. And yeah, any questions are
you looking to one time?
yeah, that is the plan, but not the work. Of course, we are some interest in some of the founders actually. We definitely were going in the
Regarding that Copilot, is it a hosted solution or
it's hosted and
you have a
own here. And we built our own plugin for users.
we started with the machine, so it is hosted there as well. It's running, you can see.
We were moving to AWS cloud, but how we're again, like when we go to the SaaS, because every customer has their own needs, own code base, so they can put their LLM on their connect. So that is good.
So after this recent AI advancement, how much productivity improvement?
No, we say too much. Like for example, Epicence, right? What we did. So initially, even we had a KPI for project manager that we had to write an acceptance criteria very detailed. We even had a templates, but still like many of it not doing. Now that through AI we are automating it, they have to just validate. Even with on validation, we had to go इसने सही में validate किया है, just push button दबाया और जीरा में चला गया. That comparison also we are doing कि कुछ दिमाग लगा रहे हैं. That level of analytics we are trying to add. Also keyword test cases and all.
With the Copilot, I was giving an example. So let's say any new developer has to onboard a new project. So just putting a command, it can put all the details of the project, so they can easily understand. Obviously, they have to put some time and all.
There's some
it will reduce.
automation is there. It's hard to measure, to be honest, but it's a lot of things we're seeing. Because, for example, in healthcare, it's simplest example we do an EHR integration or any software. We had built it multiple times. We had built solution. Now, if some developers search for it, it's searching within our repository and give us the solution. It's kind of like stack of a private stack of like private key.
I have a question. So that's like you have that is most getting the value. Check with the customer what was the need by the
And that was the sense. Of course, they told like one is of course the experience and the trust thing. Because the case study is how you bring the domain knowledge itself sets you apart. Because we are specific again in healthcare. If customer is coming to us, they are expecting something from you. is their role healthcare or not. That helps because we're actually focusing on one role, but not telling where they're performing.
And there is one more thing
That brings it to us.
which I learned from agile pyramid. So we are very honest about it. If we can't do this, we won't, like manipulate it. Or like whatever time it takes, we will simply on their page, we can say it, okay, this cannot be done in their expectation.
Well, all this is there could be an effort, but still you could win the project.
Maybe because of this, what I said, na, like, we were very honest about it. One of the projects, like, I haven't forgot the name of that, Lofty. In that case, we told them that we cannot, they have already built the project, we have to start putting, they already code and everything. It is always challenging to work on some other code, right? But we honestly told them that it will take time. If you want to give us.
कोई प्रोजेक्ट मेजरमेंट्स होता है कोई कहीं से बना के लाता है फिर जाके ये नहीं हो रहा है तो बना
Rescue project.
exactly then how we can tell you existing code takes time we hard to educate you. So these tools actually help us. Like recent example is that Arun has quickly took that source code from multiple repositories, created a detailed report through Copilot, and then it told him ये problems है, ये security issues है, ये maintainability issues है. These are the standard not followed. Very detailed document, and that built the trust. And we understood, okay, that is the problem. Let's build it from scratch. That should come through, like this proofs, not just text to talks. So that actually we're trying to solve.
So considering everything that you play, framework, process, and the title of the top, how does this actually relate to building things? I would like to know that. I mean, we can infer it. It's important for you guys to state it.
Not do that. So, hello. So, like I was mentioning at the start, like taking an example of a restaurant, serving food is just a fundamental thing which everybody would do. Similarly, in IT services, what happens is that, building code or everybody is expert. Everybody going to the market would say that expert people are available here. So that does not have any dopamine effect to anybody today. You cannot put a board saying that we have expert developers and people would come. So the idea is, like even talking about trust, like again, I'd say out of 10, 8 companies would have trust written somewhere on the website saying that we are a trustworthy partner, we are very trustworthy to you, or we do the job and everything. But how do you bring it to action? So that is the whole premise of things that we are discussing, and we try to solve it more by putting the talk into action. So rather than saying that we are using the words, rather in fact we today going to market, we would avoid saying these words because we know that everybody says that. Basically, we would rather talk about 1, 2, or all the parts of it, and saying that this is how we manage a project. Now, just like you said, the Latin word trust or trustworthiness or transparency would come as an effect of it. So that is the idea that we were sharing, that like going back, what we would want you guys would be that 1, 2, or all of them, because we have been tasked to share all the different things we are doing. You could basically take it to your process. So in fact, that was my slide or my answer. What would be the 3 things, for example, you would like to apply in your company or your team? Let's do these things, because some of them may not even require to build that whole software. This was just a way that after 2 years we ended up building all of it. But some of the things can start, in fact, right away. That maybe like having a project checklist, or maybe having let's say a quick check-in with the customer. So they may not even require any sort of software. So I don't want you to start now building for next 2 years, but more like the idea was that this is how we figured out that these are the various touch points at every stage and for every different role. So there are some touch points for me, some touch points for Praveen, some touch points for Arjun, or other developers in the team. So that is the idea. Like how do we orchestrate it together and be able to eventually become that trusted partner.
be built overnight. That's part of the whole journey.
But glad you are.
For us, what happens is trust comes from a referral. You finish a project, right? Customer happy, right? And then he says, you know what, we'd be happy to refer you to someone else. And when you get the second project and the third project right, from that referral, right, that's when you establish trust.
And not just adding like our top code is so and that happened because they liked us working.
Right. And it's not necessarily because, oh my God, they're using Jira, that's amazing.
Right.
Oh my God, they've got a DevOps pipeline and it's fully automated. It's not that.
Right.
It's just that you guys finished what we expected. It's probably more or less at that timeline and in the budget, but at the end of the day, we got what we do.
Right. And I'll give you an example that comes to mind that, let's say you have your phase in restaurant, you have been there, say 10 times. On the 11th visit, for example, you found a fly in the soup. Now tell me your honest answer. Maybe let me ask you, or anybody else also. But let's say, how many of you would say, okay, I go that 12th time? How many would say, not go 12th time? So days of hands. Like how many would say, it's okay, let's do that 12th times.
With food, it's a very difficult.
No, in fact, IT software, the person has his life online even more. Because it's their whole good career, probably for most of the customers. All of us are having. It's their whole life money or their own life promotion or whatever he wants to do, like working with you, for example. So what I mean to say is that, you would say, okay, I'll give another chance. My follow-up question would be, how about apply came in the 2 this time and maybe 12 visit went well and 13 visit had a mouse running in the restaurant. So again, 2 or 3 things that I want to pull from this example is that one, with the trust, maybe you'll give a second chance, but not the third. Second, howsoever good the owner could be, these things have to be managed, orchestrated eventually by the owner along with the team. So, the owner has best of the principles, maybe like myself, giving big talk on the session that this is how we manage quality. But unless it is getting done on a day-to-day basis or by the team that is involved, because any owner, let's say, in the restaurant again, cannot be serving food on each table. So, how do you basically make it a replicable, scalable way that, there's just no other way to look into it. So, those things as founders, as leaders, how we can make it possible. This is what it comes down to.
Yeah, you make this
Because I could give that nice presentation every week to my team. Okay, guys, we'll do good quality. But unless I've given them the tools to run it or to be able to do it without making them work 20% extra just to manage quality, there are chances like every day, like not even like 50%, but I'd say 100%, they cannot do it.
You mentioned that this one product for eating or mistake. That's true. But then I just do a recent example with one of the startups. His was not getting, he doesn't need to work for code, but we still did, and he got an investor. He wanted third party. Now in the audit, everything came to. Eventually, it happened that not the person.
Comes to transparent.
Exactly. Eventually, the doesn't need to worry about the code. He never asked. But still, we said. But then audit it came that okay, everything is good. That brings us back.
So just a couple of last ending slides, I would say. So first checkpoint is किसी का expression ये है क्या? Well, that's fine because it's okay. We probably, like I said, like 2-3 साल का पूरा work we just put into like a 1 hour session. So like what I would need is your help. Maybe a few of the volunteers can just share probably one of the biggest takeaway, just to share with everybody what was the biggest takeaway or what did you that would be
What do you go and apply that one thing? That is what we would like to
Maybe what I would say, implementing a process results in a predictable outcome.
very good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, right. No, definitely. Okay.
Normally,
Anybody?
it is like the touch point. the weekly status reports as well as a touch point kind of thing, where customers get to know more of the things that are already happening. Even though we are doing good, but if we are not telling that to the customer, then it is like that doesn't make sense, right? So for me, it is like even more things I can be transparent about, like which we are doing.
But that might be that weekly touch point was something or like right. So we discussed and that made a lot of difference by taking not more than 5 minutes. In fact, now we've automated, so it's just the extract from the project management tool going automatically. But that made a hell lot of difference because, like Arun was mentioning, that because many times it happens that customer wakes up one day and then he's like, "Arey, kara tha, nahi kara tha, what happened in the project," and so on. So you have this footprint already created that you could just take calm and say, "Okay, let's do this. Just search for this weekly status report. You'll get 10 emails of the last 10 weeks. You can just open." And now this proves that, one thing eventually, in these situations, you have to just prove that it is all in front. Now just study these. Let us know whether you had any problem. Or why didn't you reply back later? Because these emails are always going.
And there will be such kind of customers. It's not like every customer is good. Even if you try how many times you try to build that trust or touch points, still there will be 20% of the customers they come back and say, "No, this is not happening."
They won't even open up and read the reports we sent.
That happens a lot. Okay, it's like that many of them would not open. But when that D-Day comes, this is the most useful tool you have in your defense. Anybody else?
I have a question. So, at what point do you think it's over engineering versus like if there are low budget plans, you want to change things? Sometimes you like change the budget low. Do you have a certain budget? Do you think if the project is below this much value, I will not use this, or maybe it's just more engineering purpose?
So my version of it, and maybe Kavin can also share, but my version of it would be that the moment you create deviations around process, you lose the whole thing, basically. So for us, now it is always educate the customer on the importance. And like, we were discussing that sometimes you may end up, like putting your own money in the form of like, the implementing the process or the workloads required. But you got to do it because, again, if you do it for 3, you do not do it for 2. Not only it is not good for the customer, but for your internal team also. Like, how would you, again, why a restaurant is like 5 times it runs the process, but 2 times which we bana ke de rahe. So it does not create.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't.
Interesting that you mentioned restaurant because I thought the same thing repackaged as something called the subway process.
Yeah, subway.
You go and choose your bread, choose your vegetables, choose your sauce, and you're ready. That's it. You have 4 steps instead of having a very complex process, and that sort of simplifies delivery.
But you cannot, have, like, if you want to scale like Subway, you cannot have that half stores follow 2 processes, half stores follow 4 processes, and so on. So that's
within your own team itself.
You have to reduce that kind of work.
And for detail, you have to start saying no.
Yes.
So I mean, like over engineering side, this is not over engineering. It's all automated. So it's pretty easy. Like for us, maybe it seems like a lot of work, but it is not for us because it's not all automated.
Yeah.
It's a challenge from the internal side. So we are not talking about from the customer. For all these process productions, it's going to be a challenge for at the end of the day, the employees to adopt to it. So how do you overcome that? What was the timeline that you took to see certain fruits of everything?
Time, of course, even mentioned, right? Every employee, one engineer has a variable. So it took some time to educate them. In a couple of years when we started that, they only leadership has. But then it also took time. Also it took time to tell them, okay, the code quality has to be there. So again, it's not like that they have to do anything. It's more about telling, okay, this is the wrong thing. If you want to improve as an engineer, you should solve it. And it is doing everything what you need. It's not like something that asking out of the project. It's within your scope. It's just about education and something.
Being from a development, it's more like allowing you to code better rather than start giving. Of course,
Yeah, this is all part of the job. Outside.
And that's why you have to.
That's very zero feedback. So we are trying to do as much as again, like no one can be perfect, right? But we're trying to reduce those workload or like unknown things and all. So and then after the estimation is done, we saw that we are very low. So after the estimation, yeah, you have self-estimated or you do any of your last model. On paper, basically, you have estimated you should be able to do in time. You should be able to be free for 4 years. And then you can do whatever you want to do. And then that opportunity available, you can do this. The project and competition. So like root cause is around understanding and planning.
But just to add to this, while building all of this took 2 to 3 years, and on the people side, it took 2 or 3 appraisal cycles. We set some goals, and people did not do it. So next time we got hold of them, why we not do it because this is how to go. Then there was some, betterment. But then next cycle, we were able to, put that further because we were also learning. And people side things, of course, we have to manage, but you are doing something.
Out of everything, if there's one thing you can say had the most impact on that.
We all three could have different versions, I would think, because me being more on the customer side, I would say more around, like for me, especially talking with the customer on the business side and so on, my most important would be like one, clearing the vision, which we started with, that clearing the vision with the team, with the customer, and educating them in the right sense that this is how we do it, because then only we can get success. So that
is that what the customer has appreciated most about the process?
As per my conversation, the customer would also end up having different flavors of conversations with everybody. So,
if someone were to take away this in terms of what to do, and they could only implement one thing.
I will just make the customer the same. And I would say like transparency in both cases. We are very transparent about the thing for the customer, for the development team.
And saying no is important equally. So I think we still get customers who don't want all this process. You have to find that reasonable balance. I can understand maybe you would say, okay, I cannot maybe do away with these bills. Maybe some customer says that bills, for example. But sometimes you have to say no to such customers. I'm saying no. Okay.
Sometimes that spoke with for that I think that SRS.
This is what we have discussed earlier, and this is the delivery. But then, in order to make the immediate SRS or PRD, it takes some amount of time. Sales cycle always have an issue that give timelines, give costs much earlier. What you just said in sprint 0, it's after the project is onboarded and then you begin. But I think that's falls under TNM category. In fixed bid, we have to give estimates, we have to give timelines earlier. So how do you?
If the requirement is not, then we go to the first small engagement of the design. Discovery and design.
So we are also trying to figure out how some companies give that, because we are just not able to figure it without understanding how, like sometimes customer come, give me code because I already have 2 codes coming, someone is making for this month, someone is making for this month, and all they have is one paragraph. Let's say build this thing. So we are also like our sales team also question that why can't we give? We also ask the same thing. We don't know.
Yeah, one thing like
how can we do that? I don't think.
Just the salespeople are doing the deal, then I think it might be.
Like Praveen's I think most used answer is that then you can, if you can give code, then you can also put it. That's how he gets to the sales person. That if you can make up something, maybe you can make up code also. But we don't see any.
Yeah, we would love to hear how you guys solve it. On the customer side or the sales side, if some customer comes with the idea.
They say we only do discovery once you give us code. So how do you handle that? we have not been able to.
They need to solve it perfectly.
You take a chance, that's it. It's a best guess. There's no other way. I mean, how important is it getting a customer? Based on the customer. Throw a number, get the job.
But then if you buy
That lose in that, figure out a way to observe the hours later.
Depends on the how much we do the project. So we do like that.
So if this company is going to be 500 hours, then you're not sure.
See, we have seen both flavors in the sense that, some of such leads have also appreciated that you were the first one who told me that we need to do this, so this was good. And we have also seen, we lost deals where customers said that, why are you not able to give a code? You told you are expert, you should be knowing. And others are able to give me. So I'm going with someone who gave. So we say all the best.
But we saw that some of those customers came back. They really like it.
It's about the domain that you have. You have a domain of yours. It's a bespoke solution and engineering like I can say that I want to build something that you have to again engage in something. But if it is something that you've built in the past now, you know how to repeat the whole process. So you can sales team on bringing the same kind of project where you can utilize a code base that has been got something that you've done.
One thing I would like to suggest, what I've seen is one of my customers also worked with a Ukrainian company like us. So one good thing they were Ukrainian is they created out of they have this process, they have a different process. Is they create an execution.
What they execute it.
And they send into the execution. Because whatever happens in the counter, I mean, what you are doing, only the manager is saying, but at the top, like the decision makers at the top, most of the time, orders are like not in they are going sales, and almost all of the big companies order, and even though they don't order, they are very involved in sales. So they don't have time to go through all the things. So I think creating an executive summary based on already how many you can enroll as expert. So we would probably use a AI and just check. Put in the executive summary and say the hey, this is what we have done. And it's something that my other like because I work with client who they work with the training, that is the only thing he said that he liked about them, not us, because we never say those two. And it was like exciting as a by default. We never knew that something like this exists.
It reminds me of that example that even if you are selling toys, the customer is not the child. I mean, you have to sell it to the parents. So while you are daily making the other team's developers happy, unless the buy-in is coming from the CEO later when such a station happens, you cannot.
Most of the times, we have developers, or there are only speaking middle. I believe these decision makers actually continue in the process. I think that is to go.
So we do QBR actually, but yeah, it's monthly. Even they don't reply, I think doesn't matter.
Yeah,
There's something where
so because
it's not a lot.
Have you ever had a project in which the customer demanded that you be invested in the outcome of their business objectives, which were linked to the software?
Not as a software, but we do in fact deals, where a part of the payment could be on the outcome. As a company, we do where you look at again the cost, just like we talked about this in the conversation. You take some risk for the higher outcome by, especially for startups, like maybe keeping the initial burn low that can get So those outcomes could be a business outcome that, okay, we get funded, pay you more, maybe. Or it could be also, like you said, the KPI outcome, which could be that, okay, if you stick to the schedule, you get a 5%.
We do have these customers. But of course, if something is on customer side, they need to make investor or sales side. Not in our.
The service industry is so crowded, finding a differentiator is so difficult these days because everyone is offering exactly the same stuff.
That's all.
For that, going niche is helping.
Any other takeaway, anybody?
So does it ever happen that client tell you that if there's any bug and that leads to their business loss,
Yeah.
you might cover that.
Business loss in the sense that like, they lost a customer or something.
Their server goes down for hours or over but there are insurance companies
That you have to
you can get insured or the client can get insured. And if it goes down from this company's work, maybe about
Actually, SLAs are there.
insurance companies do insure such kind of. And like in my European contract, it is required to have that kind of insurance, professional life is correct.
So we can have that insurance like that. Because in healthcare also there is a compliance risk. So if something goes wrong, not only server down, but even the data get PHI data get leaked. That is also kind of a liability. They have hefty fines.
So that reminds me, one of the features we are doing now is again, you have a customer with, if you deploy 10 people on that project. Now, how do we make sure that all these 10 people have, let's say, taken their NDA seriously or employment agreement seriously and so on? Some PHI leaks happens, for example. So how do you show that you have taken the required steps? What we have done is, as part of customer onboarding, as soon as the team gets onboarded to the project, just like we have like an interface where, like you sign up on Gmail for the first time, an agreement would come up and you say, I agree. Similarly, we are not yet deployed, actually, we're building that feature that every time new developers get added to a project or new project gets started and people are seeing it for the first time, they have to basically like say I agree, which goes into the record so that, manage that risk.
It's more about just adding this.
Like
Just adding in the subconscious mind कि बाबा developer को ये पता है ये project सर ये मुझे नहीं करना.
Developer कभी कोई code base database लिखे भागा in my previous company, there was one guy. He was DevOps guy. He was doing some research R&D on GitHub, automating CI/CD stuff. Then he pushed the code to GitHub.com in a public domain, the full code base and everything. And after 2 months, the customer found out some through AI tools and other agencies that your code base is already there, like in public domain. And then there was some risks, and then I was an employee during that time. So there were some contracts happened more like of the security and insurance. So it happened like private full code base only.
It happens more than you think.
Yeah. People should not sign it away, but yeah, it happens. AWS का access keys जितना leak होता है, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं होता है. We have so many instances where S3 pocket access key got leaked.
So they have the scanner.
They have
They scan and send the email.
They instantly send an email. Now, earlier it was not.
So that's actually AWS is doing with the GitHub. That alert is helping. No, but that's the damage is already done. The customer बोलेगा अरे तुमने तो मेरी keys डाल दी, इसने use किया, bill बढ़ गया.
Next, company से क्या अच्छा है, फिर अच्छा नहीं.
Any other thing?
What is that first time you take taking the tasks and detail out the first time you take?
Really,
What is the next time you take? Just to know.
I have product this. So
it's same, right? It's someone else's product.
So what is your understanding?
I'm building myself.
Okay.
So I think certain accounts and the
you cover space, and some freelancing coming. So what can I be doing from my perspective? From your perspective, like when you decide to creating a task, it can be a very big, like communication also can be like very small and may not contain the features that may come afterwards, right? But when you say you detail out the task, there may be many tasks that you may say you can later, but you have to do that point. So
The sprint planning we do.
Yeah.
Sprint planning we spend more time here. Now, so everything user stories, accident pattern, test cases within a week now. That is, I think, just getting validated, but
when you talk to a customer,
so that is
I mean, client, so almost time.
no, that's a 1 to 2 hour call. This sprint planning we do. So we go through that. This is what you are saying to this, or you need to because the designs and milestones are already there. That please is already happening. But he has already tested that milestone the focus group. No more changes. It's more about the business logic of small mapping.
Yeah, but budget points suppose startup and speed budget, right? And some tasks can be done because some can be done now. So
Yeah, but still it's giving the data down what Arun has. Some rule is that every person who is writing a story or task, it has to go below 2 hours. 2 hours of it. If anything below about 2 hours, it has to break it. Anything.
So what basically like those starting weeks,
Execution where we figured it out to planning अच्छे से करो. No gray.
Like they say, if you plan to fail, you fail to plan. So yeah, any other thoughts?
Last you mentioned that it's necessary to develop trust, and then again you mentioned that as a team leader, you make sure that your employees or your project members you actually do it. But then now means I don't have a startup or something, and I'm training, and I am leading a project at IIT. So I think that sometimes some standards that we set as a project leader are much more higher than what our project members are expecting. So in that case, when some things don't get enough satisfactory for us, so sometimes for me it ends up that I end up doing the left of the gap. So in these cases, how do you manage such things? How do you at least get that thing from your project member or anything else?
So whenever new employee gets hired, they go through some training. So they know what standards we follow. Maybe even a domain knowledge, right? So we have training material already created. So they go through that internally. That's a 1 to 2 week process. So they have to do. It's part of the process. We learned that from one of the customers in healthcare. When they onboard any employee, they had a very detailed process. And we try to understand why they do it. But then the VP of engineering will help them in later execution stage that now employees are aware of that, what they're doing, what exactly is the problem, what are the compliance things, right? Coding side, whatever it may be, but that training has to be done.
And one more thing is that you should be very much aware how much your team knows, right? This team can do that or so much. You have to understand that you have to make sure yourself that they understand. So that's why we have low level breakdown and detail and everything. So that helps.
The low level breakdown gives your mind a chance to go deeper. Otherwise, at high level, everybody can give, okay, ये 4 दिन लेगा. क्यों लेगा तो ये 4 दिन आए कैसे? तू मुझे बता. That is the question we should be asking.
इसके लिए वो 2-3 अप्रैल साइकिल लगी. I mean, just sharing because that's something we were able to fix gradually. क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम थी. Everybody is on a 50,000 foot. Okay, ये 4 दिन ये 2 दिन estimate ऐसे होते थे.
But when you drill down to 2 hours, we estimate करना है identify is also a difficult challenge, right? Because one story can be of somebody said 4 days. Now then, if it is 2 hours, which is 8 hours, 4 days, 16 tasks we have to identify.
Right. Exactly.
So that takes time. That will also take 4 hours. So identify 16 tasks.
Yeah, but then at least if you are able to do that, coding कर रहा है is already half the problem solved.
Every sprint, this much amount of time that developers are taking to identify the tasks.
They will go in a work when natural ho jata hai. If that's the process, that's how you start.
So I mean, you only do a lot of but then when the sprint starts, so then again the second
Every sprint will have this.
Because this task order is sprint zero ka part.
sprint zero is something once. So they're only doing low level application. But every sprint when I'm starting, then I can do it.
What sprint? 2 hour level we do at a sprint.
No, like the project length, let's suppose it is going for years. So in sprint you can identify any sprint. So every sprint will have its own part, or maybe two sprints earlier you have to decide the task. So
N plus
and
2.
people are spending that much amount of time.
But again, when we have prioritized what should we take for
But if you see the sprint plan, the sprint का first day होता है, half day goes in that.
But towards will put it in
नहीं
maybe after the process.
Do you guys do also plans?
No uncertainty. क्योंकि हमारे प्रोसेस को कोई और यूज नहीं कर सकता दैट सो दैट इनसाइड बाहर का कोई बंदा मतलब either they join and they get trained to run it otherwise nobody outside.
Can be a part of it there because again everything is not needed for all the because 5-6 different things. Some of the projects don't use all that fast. You just got 2-3 zones. I mean, like can be added to the project easily or on time.
What he needs maybe a domain expert.
Yeah, domain expert.
Maybe to have collaborations, and then you have to scale up and down. So I don't have follow expose that part of the customer.
Consultant to the
Customer or your technology part. But once you have to ramp up and very difficult to have everything in-house as a growing organization. If you don't do it, that's a different case. You do it, you expose that to the customer. Exposing as you inform the customer about you having a technology partner to deliver it, or you have a consultant who's doing it, because having an in-house is a different game because it is under control. But if you have a technology partner, or you have it because there are a lot of contracts wherein outsourcing or third party is not there. Someone does write it, some customer that implicit has to be understood by the delivery partner.
Yeah, we do that. We bring that transparency or trust to the customer. ये बंदा हमारे पास नहीं है. This is subject matter expert. We cannot afford us to be part. If customer is telling मुझे एक year के लिए चाहिए, तो we offer that communication again. Discuss more.
So वो भी उन कस्टमर को बोल ही देते हैं क्या ये कर दो तो है.
You also need to be part of the whole thing of this. So much time does it take?
Getting a invite. It's very straightforward system. These are more on the internal side of it.
You need a mic.
So there is this one line which we had with this organization years back exactly this of year. So there is this smartified technology comes in healthcare and wanted that HR in the southwest of HR they wanted to build an identity provider for themselves so that this smartified is member of their HR. So at that time there were I guess no one knows how this smartified works. And we started to working on 25th of December until 25th of Jan. We only doing the discovery phase, like explains we're understanding how this thing works. What are the important topics like discovery phase? There are some steps inside that, like how these things because like the context is it will allow the third-party applications which will help physicians and the patients to access their data which is on the EHR. So it is very important for that, like the system is very secure, that identity provider which enables, which is developed using the OpenID-based OAuth-based OpenID connect, like authorization connection. And for that, we did a whole month's process of understanding each and every step, like what request goes, what response comes, what all scope is given, how this scope is complex with respect to the patient access and the provider's access as well. So once that is done, the whole discovery phase, which gave us an idea like, okay, the 6 months time of project was given to us. First month when we did the discovery, we got the whole idea, and we make sure that every team member has the exact understanding, like they are on the same page, like how we are going to do it and what is exactly needed to do. So once that is done, we started the development process, and within 5 months, we are able to complete it. At the very end, they come up with the change request as well. Like we did 2 things, and they wanted to do another thing as well. So there is this standalone launch, and this is the EHR launch. We did these 2 things. And there's a third thing they can like, okay, we want to do a bulk export as well. So there's this small change we need to do, but because we did the research for the whole 1 month, we are able to do it in 15 days. And after that, they had the very good trust in us. There are 3-4 other projects they gave us, like Pune, like again, for the project. So that was the thing, like what Arun said, and Praveen said, the discovery phase is pretty much important. You have to invest in your understanding of the project, what is the problem statement, and making sure that every person on your team understand that problem and how you're going to solve it. So,
Thanks, Abhi. Okay, anything else? Thoughts? Any other takeaway? So, coming to kind of the closure slide, I would say. So, some other tips that, we talk a lot of tech. So, since I'm taking care more on the business side, thought to share some, business stuff. So, keeping a customer is one of the most simple but overlooked secrets to business and money making success that nobody wants you to know. So that's the whole idea. Like, there's more GAN available, how to close new customer, how to find customer, how to create your pipeline. But just like they say, cyclists are bad for economy. How many of you know this? Cyclists are bad for economy because they don't get they don't get a risk of, accident. They don't have to buy a new cycle every 2, 4, 5 years. They don't go to doctor. So similarly, like I started with that, more money can be made of, more success can be created by just serving the customers in a good, old-fashioned, trustworthy way compared to, like figuring out every day how to find a new customer. So that's why you do other cycles. So I'm ruining economy for both from the cycle and from customer relations. And start doing the relationship to your customers as building a long-term bond. How we can make them successful always. So as a founder, while again your tech team and your operations team can do the job, as founders, our focus should always be understanding the customer business and how we can help that business. That should be like typical conversations that should happen. 5-minute phone calls or simple template follow-up go a long way. So what I've also tried to do as my own pro tip is that sending them these quick email, hey, is everything going fine? And do you want to catch up? That's all. Like, again, sometimes they may respond, sometimes they do not, but it always gets registered that you are there. So that has made a lot of difference with small effort, like 10% effort and 90% result. And okay, I appreciate that. While tech team does their tech, you think about their business because you can't basically really contribute to tech. If they say my API is not working, anyways, I can't do anything. So your work as one of the business founders said, then your work is more around understanding what is happening in that industry, what are the companies that are getting successful in that industry. So one, it gives you good lead list to target other companies. Second, you can go back with that same research to your customer, telling them, hey, this is what I observed. Those are been very, very great conversations. So outside of tech, this is how you can help build the team. So that's all I think, folks. And this is the last thing that, like I was mentioning, we have started this WhatsApp group called Orbital Shift Community. The idea for us is, like, what we've seen with all great places throughout the world, including Bangalore in India and outside San Francisco or any such places. Great things happen when people work together. So our focus is more about how much, at least as a small company, we can contribute to create that, being able to share our experiences, learn from each other, and, have open conversations, have someone to rely on with each other. So that's why we are bringing this community together and do scan pickup. So snacks are available and coffee is available, and feel free to use the space to meet your new friends or old friends alike. Yeah. We can take one picture maybe.